Our next guest is Trupan Modi, a digital transformation executive of healthcare for the Microsoft Corporation.
Trupan, thank you for joining me. I enjoyed your presentation very much.
Thank you, and pleasure to be here.
Tell me a little bit about, just for the audience, a little bit about what you do for Microsoft.
So I'm a director of digital innovation and transformation. I work with some of the top pharma, retail, health, payer, providers and academic medical centers, and my role is to help them in the innovation and transformation space.
Right. So in terms of health, fitness, wellness, what are some of the things that you're able to say, but what is, I suppose, what is Microsoft looking at in terms of that area? Is it the next big thing? What should we all be aware of that's likely to sort of come and happen in this space?
So it's a great question, right? But see, Microsoft is a platform company, right? And like I said in my presentation earlier today, we are the first company in the world to come up with a dedicated cloud for healthcare altogether. It's called Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare. And the intention of the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare is to really have new and innovative solutions in the cloud that can be consumed by our customers and provide a space where all the partners can come together and bring transformation in this particular space altogether, right? So we look at all the verticals, like I said, pharma verticals, prayer verticals, research vertical, and all of them. And fitness is core and essential part of it. But where fitness truly fits in is more about how you leverage the data that you gather from different sources altogether, like all the sources I mentioned, plus wearables, plus smart devices in the hospitals, for example, through IoMT. And how do you gather this information, understand it, and translate it in the manner that is useful to the consumers, whether it be the patients themselves or whether it be the provider themselves or the peer altogether, right? So when we look at the fitness, it's not just purely about building up muscles altogether, right? It's about your mental health, it's about your physical health, it's about social health, like we spoke about the health equity altogether, the education, right? It's basically providing that kind of all that, determinants that help you improve the health altogether, and that's what we are focused on. If you look at the Microsoft mission, we really want to enable and empower everybody to do more and much better altogether. So improving the health is core to our mission statement altogether, but we are not specifically looking purely from the health and fitness perspective. We are looking holistically to help and support the entire healthcare ecosystem.
Right. When I was looking at some of the slides, and I can't remember whether there was any specific numbers, but it seems as though there's a crazy amount of people creating apps and solutions in this space, and the majority of them crash and burn very, very quickly. A big percentage.
I wouldn't go that far, that majority of them crash and burn. You said that.
Yes, okay.
Right, yeah.
But the chances of, okay, I'll put it another way, the chances of success in that area are fairly slim to really...
So there are two reasons behind it.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was going to ask.
The first reason is that the applications that are, or the apps that are being created, if it's focused purely on a silo piece of data, the value diminishes over a period of time altogether, right? So to have that connected and integrated data and data asset and the ecosystem and intelligence on top of that is very, very essential altogether. So what you see here, like I said, there are about 1 million plus apps on fitness and health alone in the Apple App Store and the Google App Store, right? But most of them are very silos, for example, right? And they don't sustain, okay? The second thing is digital fatigue. Okay, right. You have so many apps that you really don't know which one to use, which one is valuable, which one is providing the right information, which one is providing the wrong information altogether, right? So what you really also need to do is create a differentiator for yourself, right? In the sense that you're providing the rich consumer experience, which is where the trend is going on. But also the consumer needs to find credibility and value in the information you're providing them altogether. So for all the new apps that are coming up, they really need to understand these two aspects very crisp and clear. Like in the last panel discussion we had one panelist talking about the genomics, one panelist talking about the nutrition, and one panelist talking about the gym and the fitness stuff, right? The reality is that if I were to use, I need all three of them. And no one is going to meet my needs, if you will, right? And the measure of success has to be based on how I improved my health versus how you were able to deliver the data to me altogether. So that's how it needs to really evolve in my point of view altogether. And we are getting there, right? Meaning healthcare is just picking up the disruption in the market altogether and transformation. So it will evolve and you will see more and more integration happening down the line altogether. And part of the problem also is that the data integration in the clinical space is not as easy as any other organizations or any other field altogether. So there's huge amount of investments required to make this thing happen altogether. But that's a long answer to your short question, but it's a combination of both, right? Like I said, to summarize, one is the integration, making sure the right data is being put together to deliver the value, and then providing that consumer experience for that, to be the differentiator in the market is what is needed.
So for people that are thinking about entering this space, are there things that you've seen or noticed that are almost like a best practice? So to be successful, should we, before we go outside of those things that you've said, identify how you're going to differentiate yourself, but is there anything else that's really important to enhance your chance of kind of being successful?
Use AI, artificial intelligence,
Really?
right? So what I mean by saying this stuff is that creating the rich digital front door as part of consumerization, yes, sure, it will catch an eye altogether. But what now the smart consumers are looking for, not only the historic data about yourself, but also being able to predict what the future would look like for them, whether it be on the fitness perspective, whether it be for the weight gain perspective altogether, and how to alter that altogether, right? And the same information is also useful for the providers altogether. And this technology already exists, if you will, right? Those are the kind of things that's really going to help you be successful over there. If, let's say, for example, I'm recording my steps daily, okay, and seeing that if I can meet the requirement of 10,000 steps daily. Sure, that's useful, but that has been existing for the last 5-10 years in Apple Watch altogether. What's new about it? So if you look at Apple, and they're doing really cool stuff at that stuff. Now you can do ECG as part of your app. Now you can do oxygen level. They're also looking at potentially monitoring your glucose level altogether and what it could look like in the future, right? So what you have to think about is what is it that you can do above and beyond what Apple is already doing for you to be successful, right? So that's where AI, predictive analytics, and all of this comes into the picture altogether. It's not easy. It's not easy altogether, but that's where I would put my money, if you will.
Yeah. And my, I suppose, challenge as a consumer, I'm wearing an Oura ring, I've got my levels, I have my MyZone belt when I'm working out. So there's all these different, very successful single channel solutions. And when I listen to what's happening here, as you say, there seems to be this integration, and people like Apple and I suppose Microsoft are the ones where all this data's funneling in.
Yes, Microsoft does that a lot, yes.
How do you see the future, without saying anything that you shouldn't be saying, but because I suppose my view of the future is someone like an Apple or a Microsoft will probably do all that for you, and you'll have it whether it's in your glasses or a phone or a device, and that will be the central point. And so I suppose these individual companies that make some of these probably will be owned by one of the larger brands that can manage that.
But that's part of how the capitalism works altogether, right? So see, the difference is Apple is more of a device company, right? They do a great job. When we look at the platform companies, meaning there are many platform companies, but the big ones are Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, right? So all the startup companies, by and large, over a period of time, becomes part of a particular ecosystem once they reach to a point of success altogether, whether it be selling off or whether it be acquisitions altogether, or they disappear as a matter of fact, right? And there are very few startups that really disrupts the market altogether, and looking forward to that happening that also, right? So, there's no real black and white answer to this stuff, right? Basically, the different business models will succeed over there, right? What we really also don't want is that, the big companies completely monopolize the healthcare altogether. So there is a little bit about innovation that happens in the small startups that doesn't happen in the big companies altogether, and that should retain and will remain altogether to transform the industry But there is no right or wrong answer to this stuff. It just kind of organically evolves, and the companies that we, for example, feel are right for our vision and strategy, Microsoft acquires them, like Nuance was one of them, right? And so does the other organizations. But we don't go out and acquire every single company that starts up, right? Sorry, meaning I don't know if there is a right answer for that stuff.
No, it's a difficult one, but I certainly see being able to either and even translate that information as well. It's like everything comes in and then you can make recommendations, but unless you've got your sleep, your heart rate, your and all these different touch points, it seems that you're only getting a part. You're not getting a complete picture of really what you need to do, are you? In a lot of cases,
You don't.
So, as someone who's not probably traditionally from the fitness space, I heard your story, and congratulations on losing all that weight, by the way.
I gained another 5 pounds. I need to lose a lot more weight than I have, but thank you.
So, with your tech head and your experience of fitness and going through your own fitness journey, you know, if you were starting your own business again, like, and coming into this fitness space, like, what sort of problems would you try and solve?
I would not necessarily approach from the perspective of solving the problem.
Okay.
Right? I would approach from the perspective of how can I empower human beings and stop them from becoming patients altogether, right? So focus more around the preventive and proactive wellness rather than the management of the illness once sets in altogether, right? So what I mean by saying this stuff is that, from the childhood itself, for example, we don't get enough educated on being healthy and living the healthy lifestyle altogether. I'm going all the way up altogether, right? Second thing is actually empowering them with the right tools and capabilities to make the right decisions, right? I really want the consumer to own their own health altogether. How can you prevent that? Chronic illness, I give an example about this stuff, right? It's absolutely preventable by most cases, meaning if you have gene issues and stuff, there's nothing much you can do about it, right? But by and large, chronic illness happens because of stress, because of obesity, because of lack of exercise, loneliness, right? All of this together, and all of this is preventable, like many, many ways above and beyond, the traditional means of providing pills altogether, right? So that's what I would typically invest money. Like, how can I actually empower consumers, whether it be from childhood to being a complete adult, where they can start owning their own health altogether.
Fantastic. Troopan, thank you so much for your time. Love your talk. Thank you.
Thank you.